verbal riot.
What's happening, y'all? It is Wednesday today. We're not doing our usual Thursday show. And the reason why is because I have a special guest I'm going to be bringing on a little bit later. But I just want to take this time to say thank you guys for watching the show. I know I do a terrible job. And I tell you guys all the time, I am the worst YouTuber on YouTube. So you got to bear with me, right? And especially because I'm a one-man operation and, I'm a little bit older. So I got to work these buttons and doohickeys and do all these things and try to remember this and that. But I am going to do a little maintenance before I bring her out because I always forget to do this. If you guys can, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it, do all that good stuff, comment. I appreciate it. Sometimes I remember to ask you guys at the end of the show, but by the end of the show, I'm usually kind of burnt. So sometimes I forget, but I'm going to ask you at the beginning now. So I'm going to start doing this. At the beginning of the show, I'm going to ask for these things, and then we're going to just move on. Other than that, guys, it is Wednesday. It is a Wednesday, and we have a good show. We have a good show today. I have somebody on the show who I've been wanting to have back for a very long time. She graced us with her presence a little while ago, and I was afraid we'll never get her back. I thought I scared her off, but apparently she she just doesn't care about her career because she's back here. And no, really though, I love her to death. I think she is one of the greatest people in Hollywood. So enough of my yammering. Let's just bring her on. This is the queen of the red carpet. This is the matriarch of all media. Give it up for Sari Cohen. Sari.
What an introduction. Oh my gosh. This is the best introduction I've ever had.
Thank you. I was working on that one. I was like, how do I pull her out here? But you know what though? I really believe it. I really feel it. You work that red carpet better than most women I know. Most people I know. Let me put it out there.
We were just talking about this before. You are an honest man. So coming from your mouth, that really means a lot. I know you mean it. And that's a really beautiful compliment. And it means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. And look, I do mean it because being in this industry, right? We meet a lot of fake people. I mean, let's put it out there, right? We meet a lot of fake people. We meet a lot of people who are, and look, maybe they don't even mean to be. Maybe it's just the industry makes people this way, right? But I think because maybe we've been around long enough that we almost have like Teflon skin when it comes to meeting fake people. And you even talked before we started the show about how, being able to sniff it out better now.
Yeah. I think it's people in general. I think it's like we were just saying, it's kind of like we do enough lying to ourselves that I would prefer the truth. I would rather have someone be harsh and honest. You don't always harsh and honest are not always like one and the same. So no. I'd rather have someone be honest than someone be sweet and lie. Let's just cut to the chase and tell the truth. It's important.
It is important. And you know what? And especially for you, because I feel like you have a lot more direct contact with people. See, I have indirect contact with people, right? It's like, like when I run into people, like, celebrities, whatever, it's never formal. So I don't know, like I get a better, I don't want to say a better side of them. I get a side of them that they don't reveal to the press, right? But you kind of get them on their best nights, usually, because the red carpet is usually their best night, right? How do you know when someone's being fake with you on the red carpet? Oh, by the way, again, I'm going to do my best not to get you in trouble. I swear I'm going to be on my best behavior today. I am not going to give you any gotchas. I'm not trying to mess up your career because you're already taking the chance by even being here. So
listen, I love you. I trust you completely. I have complete faith in you. No, look, it's all about connection, right? I mean, this is why I got into it in the first place. And I would like to think, as someone who does interviews, and it is all about connection, that you can kind of suss out when someone is wearing a mask or someone is not. I never look to do a gotcha. I just never do. Like, if someone is comfortable sharing something with me, great.
Right.
Sometimes it's packaged in the way they want it to be. Like, I've been on the carpet where I know I'm being fed a story that's going to be the headline that they want. And then other times people are down to have a real conversation. And that's what I think at the end of the day, this is about, like having a real conversation and connection and being able to share a story that means something to someone. So look, I'm honored if someone wants to stop and talk to me, whether we're on a carpet or otherwise. Well, I love it. I'm
No,
game.
I get it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have to say, I think part of the charm, if you will, with you is that you disarm people pretty easily, right? Like for me anyway, because you're all sweet and nice and and because of your stature, you're what, 5'1".
Oh, I love you. I'm not even 5'1". I'm 5 feet is pushing it, but
But I
yeah.
think people just for some reason, like, they're disarmed with you. So like they'll probably reveal a lot more with you than they probably would with, like, say, me. You know what I mean?
You know what? It's not bullshit. That's the thing is like I just it's so wild. I've always been who I am. Like if you don't like me and you don't want to talk to me, I'm okay with that too. You don't have to. But really what you see is what you get. So, like I said, yeah, it's cool. I'm honored. If it comes off as disarming, like great.
Oh, I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. I'm saying, I mean, you
No,
got to use every arsenal you have when you're out there. I mean,
I
it's a dogfight on that red carpet, man. Like, it's pretty vicious. Like, you got to be aggressive out there.
Yeah, well, you know what it is? I think a lot of times as a journalist, people kind of forget, like, they might wanna be on the other side of the carpet. You see a lot of that with on-camera hosts where I think they wanna be the star or they, you know, it's a little different. So, like, when you're in it as a fan or someone who loves entertainment or a storyteller and you really are there to engage, um yeah, it's a different I think it's a different it will bring about a different energy.
Let me ask you this: who's been, at least lately, who's been your favorite red carpet interview?
Um, oh gosh, lately. Well, I've been doing because it's award season and we're Emmy voting is soon to be underway. Uh, I've had a lot of one-on-one sit downs, and just a couple weeks ago, I got to sit down with Paul Giamatti to
Okay.
talk about Black Mirror. And my God, that man is a genius. Like that was, I mean, it really felt like this. Like like I'm sitting down having a conversation, hanging out. Welcome to my couch, Paul Giamatti. Should I
Wow.
pour us a glass of Pinot? I know it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I even like threw out a stupid pun. I was like, the interview could go sideways. Terrible. but but it was
I've been there.
he was wonderful.
That's so
He
cool.
was yeah, he's brilliant, brilliant.
And I feel like, for me, I love it when a celebrity that I admire doesn't disappoint because I've ran into too many that do. You know what I mean? I was at the Sky Bar, and for some reason I was hanging out with Corey Feldman. And me and him were just hanging out, talking, drinking. And while I was drinking, he was, drinking soda water or something like that. Maybe he's sober again. I don't know. But but we were talking about that, how, like, it's just some people, you wish you never spoke to him. You know what I mean? And no, I'm not saying he's that guy. I'm saying we were talking about people mutually that we
Oh,
know. You know what I mean? That we know, where, we looked up to them and, we admired their work. But then when you speak to them, it's like, oh no. Right?
yeah, yeah. Interestingly enough, Corey Feldman is one that I've never met, and certainly, like, as a, I guess, Gen Xer, millennial, elder millennial, exennial, whatever. I would love to have a conversation with Corey Feldman. That would be wild.
He's a interesting cat.
Yeah,
That guy, he's been through some stuff, man.
yeah, yeah.
I yeah, he's been through some things. But you know what's crazy is I gotta admire the fact that he survived. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this industry will just it'll devour you, man. Like, it'll I've seen a lot of people just not come back, right?
Yeah.
And this guy is happy. He's, doing his music, which maybe no one likes except for him, but he's enjoying it, having a good time, living his life, and to be honest, his life turned out a lot better than, his boy,
Yeah.
Corey Haim. I mean, so that I guess just surviving is a victory, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, and growing up at that time too, us knowing the story about the Coreys
Yeah.
and kind of how that, you know, unraveled in front of us. Yeah, it certainly makes me have a sensitivity to him and his life and, his persona that the public sees. Yeah.
And that's what's funny too is like I know there are some very weird people. Like there's some there's very weird celebrities, but I try to like look past that and think, okay, why are they weird, right? Is this an actor putting on? Like, is this a show? Is this like a front? Or is it like just maybe they've been through a lot of things and this is how they're coping, with
Sure.
this lifestyle now,
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's human. It's just like these people have wild jobs. I think there's a celebrity is like the intersection of hard work and good luck, right? So,
Yeah.
and I think to go
Well,
into
sometimes good luck. I mean, depending how their life turns out. I mean,
true, true. That is very true. That is very true. But I do think you certainly, and in like different aspects of entertainment, you certainly see whether you're working in music or film or TV or fashion, or you're talking to a producer or a writer or director, there are definitely specific personalities that like have their own niches, and you start to see kind of why they might have aligned with that job.
yeah, and for me, I think it's something that's always it's kind of kept me not wanting to be a part of that as far as, and it's weird because I have these weird ties to this industry that I shouldn't even have, to be honest with you. Like I shouldn't have, right? I've hung out with people I know I have no business hanging out with, right? But for some reason, these weird doors have always kind of opened up to me, right? Like even on my Twitter profile, well, X profile, under job titles or just things that I have listed under my accolades. One of them, as a joke, is I put down a celebrity grifter, right? And that's just because for some reason, I've always been able to get into these situations where I shouldn't have been allowed into, but because people think I'm somebody, they just bring me in, right? And that's kind of been like the course of my life. But then I started doing real work. But there's a part of me that's glad I never got too deep into it. You know what I mean? Because I think for me, I don't know if I would have survived being in Hollywood. You know what I mean?
I said that about we were talking about this at the beginning, like meeting you and being in the room with you. The second that I met you, I instantly loved you. Like I was drawn
You're
to
just
your
being
energy.
kind at
I
this point.
know it's true. It's true. It's totally true. You have a very specific energy about you, and you are quiet in a room in a room full. I see you and
You
I
saying
see
I'm quiet is wild because everyone who knows me will be like, "What is she talking
well,
about?"
in a room full of people, in a room full,
That,
like when
that's
we're
fair.
yes, knowing you is a different story. Like when we're
Oh
when
yeah,
we're in like private conversations, that's a different story. But in a room full of people, when we're at award shows or at parties, I see how you observe and I see how you engage, and you have a good circle around, Chris and Alan and our circle of you've got a good circle of solid
I do.
people around
I
you.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, like I feel like for me, Chris and Alan are like they're very and this is going to sound gay. I'm sorry, but but they're very refreshing, man. Chris has been around this business for since the 80s, man, and people don't even understand almost the debt like Hollywood kind of owes this guy, man, because this guy was putting like uh um he was putting it's a type of genre films. I'm sorry, I blanked out. He kind of put genre films on the map, right? With his because he had an actual an actual magazine back in the day. And his magazine was the only one talking about like comic book films and sci-fi and all these other type of, you know, genre movies. And, you know, he's done all these other things. And I think that a lot of times people forget that he's, you know, this guy's been around for a very long time and he's done a lot of great things. So, and Alan, man, Alan is just, he's one of the best editors, you know, when it comes to like just film reviews. And Alan is solid. He's a very solid guy, and his deadpan on the mic is like almost unmatched, untouchable, man. I love both those guys to death.
It's the three of you are quite a trio. I really do. I love it when I get all three of you in one room. I really do. I feel like I'm walking into a movie every time. I'm just standing around and I'm looking at the three of you and we're having some kind of really wild conversation. And I'm just like, I freaking love you guys. Like, this is.
Well, I love when we're somewhere and like all of a sudden, like, you know, we'll lock eyes and like all of a sudden we're just all together, right? Yeah. Like just from that lock, we're in because we know we're gonna have fun.
Yep, always.
Yeah, I adore that.
Yeah,
but you know, before we go on, I tell the people about you. How long have you been doing this?
Oh my gosh, from the womb? No. Look,
That's a long time.
I used to laugh. I was like, you know, most little girls, they like dream about, I'm going to get married one day and I was never like that. I just always had this thing for entertainment of just like, even growing up on the East Coast, knew that California, LA just always called to me. So I was lucky my parents moved us here when I was still a teenager. Quite
now,
a long
did they
time
move you
ago.
here because of your dreams?
No. We just wanted to leave New York, and we had some family out here, so it was kind of like we had some roots. So we were like, all right, let's check out California, and we loved it. It turned out to be the best move we could have ever made. But I started really young when I was like I was acting when I was a kid, and
Wow.
then. Yeah, when I was 18, I started doing stand-up comedy. And
really?
Then, yeah. I used to tour around LA in a comedy troupe called the Comedy Pups. And
how did I not know this?
I don't know.
Wow, okay.
But that was how that started. We was the writer in me. I was like, no, we used to we had a comedy writer at first, and we were all like kid comics.
Right.
And then eventually I really grew to love it, and I started writing my own comedy, and that got me into writing. I didn't even realize, just as a storyteller, how much I loved writing and how that kind of was able to mesh all my passions together. So yeah, I wrote my first screenplay, and then started writing for TV, and then
also, by the way, how terrible was that screenplay?
Oh, it was awful.
No, because I honestly, when I started screenwriting, I went back years later and reread the first script I wrote, and I was like, oh dear God, this is awful. Like, what was I thinking?
Did you have too much or too little on the page? Which was your?
Oh, it was like I was writing. It was like I wrote a novel.
Yeah,
like I had way too much on the page, like way too much. Like I wrote a script for like an hour-long show that was 300 pages, which is insane.
I understand.
Right?
I know
that's completely insane.
Yeah.
But it was so bad. It was so bad, and it was a spec script for a spinoff of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Stop.
That I actually pitched to Joss Whedon, and he looked at me like I had 4 heads. Like, I was so embarrassed. Like, I in my mind, I thought it was good, and it was awful.
I love that you actually got to pitch that to Joss Whedon, though.
I was so embarrassed. I'm like, but lesson learned. I learned a valuable, very valuable lesson.
Eventually, I feel like the universe just kind of aligns you, because I also, my first, when I started writing for TV, and I went like decently far into that process, it was also a sci-fi script. that was kind of where the first thing I was like writing about politics and then sci-fi, and then it led me here, which I'm so grateful for, because as you know, trying to work as a writer, writing, getting into a writer's room and
Oh,
doing
it's
that,
hard.
I mean, your odds, are not high. And certainly at that time as a woman and coming, you're doing a lot of writing for free and you're hoping to get noticed
I think
in.
everything in the industry when it came to women back in those times were just rough, man. It's like you either you were lucky or you had to go like the Harvey Weinstein route, and
No. I was never gonna be that person.
exactly.
Um,
So I mean, it was just it was definitely
yeah,
harder.
yeah. So when I started looking for jobs as a writer and trying to figure out what I was gonna do, I took out the word writer's room and I was like, well, let me just cast a wide net and see who would hire me as a writer. I was like, I'll write your cookbook. What do you want? I'm a writer.
Right.
I'll write. And that eventually led me into journalism. I ended up, somebody gave me a job writing a fashion column, which was crazy because I knew nothing about fashion. I wanted to write about politics. And they're like, we're going to make you our LA fashion trends correspondent. And I was like, really?
You're like,
But
sure, why not? Yeah, of course.
okay.
I love fashion.
Yeah. But I did my own twist on it, which was, I decided I was the one that was like, I want to do interviews because I was never about brands or anything, but I was about people. So I'm like, what inspires someone? It's basically just how you present yourself or express yourself is a better
Right.
word. But that led me to doing interviews. I applied for my first red carpet. I could not believe someone let me on. I had major imposter syndrome. And as I kept, putting out work and I remember being on like my first major carpet and I was expecting someone to just tap me on the shoulder and be like, I don't think you're supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And eventually it actually really felt like home to me. So to go from that and then, to here where you're like the red carpet queen after well over a decade of doing this and like really being, with your finger on the pulse of entertainment and doing red carpets and events and junkets and everything. It's like it feels like home to me. I love it.
But you know what though? You deserve that title because I mean, you, Kira, you guys, you work hard, man. Like you're always out there. Whenever there's a red carpet thing, you are there, working your ass off. So I mean, you got to get the credit for that.
No.
And like I said, I know it's a rough gig, man. Like I've been around those red carpets and it gets violent sometimes. I mean, I've seen reporters like almost throw hands on each other because they were fighting over the same interview, and yeah, it's
It
not an easy gig.
Yeah, it's so strange. I feel like there are a couple of people that you end up that have been in this industry for a while that you know what you're getting on the carpet. But usually the people that are like that don't have that kind of etiquette, they don't last that long. They don't have the staying power in this industry. So, but yeah, it gets rough, man. Like ropes go flying, shoes are off, people are on the carpet.
Yeah.
It get real crazy.
Now, what's funny is we're going to talk a lot about the industry itself, but before we do that, I remember our last conversation where you had some other aspirations, right? You wanted to host one of the Netflix dating shows.
Yes. Yes.
So are we getting closer to this or?
Okay, so I did pitch to NBC in June, and the NBC is not knocking, so I'm assuming they passed on it. But
You can't give up.
no, I'm not going to. I've kind of refined in, revisiting, seeing things from a fresh perspective really makes a difference. And I revisited my because it's like an app TV show crossover
Okay.
idea that's just, it's very cool in my eyes.
Don't get too
I
many
think it's
details
great.
because people steal ideas. So
Well, nobody's ever gonna get this. I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but it
good.
is, if anybody's interested, I feel like it would revolutionize the way that we consume TV. So
Interesting. Okay.
anyway, yeah, I am currently revisiting the pitch deck and am going to throw it back out there again and see where it lands, and hopefully the universe will see fit to
I hope so
align.
too, man. Because I can see you doing it, right? I mean, I could definitely see you doing it. By the way, did you watch the last season of Love Is Blind?
Yes, of course. Yes.
I'm sorry, but for me, that was one of those boring seasons of Love Is Blind. I was not happy with that cast. They were so forgettable. I had to remind myself who was on the cast.
Yeah. I don't know what is going on with Love Is Blind
I
lately.
forgot that these were the cast members of this past season.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't remember either. They stay relevant on TikTok. That's the wild thing, is like when you're watching things, kind of what happens after. I feel like there is kind of a fan base there, but yeah, the past couple of seasons of Love Is Blind, I don't know if it's become, the first season was so innovative and so
I agree.
different. And people really, especially in 2020, really kind of held on to that. But yeah, it's not doing it for me.
And the couples were so weird, man. Like I remember, like this couple broke up because like he was like pissed at her body count or something like that.
Oh yeah, there was some really, the past couple of seasons, there have been people who are on it. And again, things that come out on TikTok with like exes who are coming out and saying things about, and everybody's got their own perspective. Like, so it's relationships are objective, but it is wild, the stuff that is coming out, even on the shows, of like,
Right? Like that's what's crazy to me. It's like,
right.
how do you already have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you're going on a dating show, right?
Yeah.
And that's why people say like it's fake or it's scripted, because of stuff like that. Because it's like there was no good intent.
Well, again, people freaking lie. And this is the problem with people in general.
Yeah.
Is like, I feel like we should all live by one truth, and that's just don't lie. Like, just don't lie. Even on a
I always
dating
feel like
show.
that's easier said than done.
I know.
Because unfortunately, I don't know how people like do it these days. Speaking of which, by the way, though, how's it going with you and your guy? You married yet, or what's been happening? Because it's been a while since. That face means. Damn it! I knew I was going to ask the wrong question at some point. I didn't think it'd be this early, but I knew I would ask the wrong question.
Never the wrong question. I will say that yeah, we didn't go in the direction of marriage.
It's complicated, right?
It's not that complicated.
Oh,
no,
okay.
No, we're going, and we've gone.
You have different plans.
We've gone and we've parted ways.
Parted ways, okay.
Yeah, we parted
And
ways.
you know what? And that's fair. It's
even more of a reason to revisit this. I'm a big believer in love. I really am.
Same.
Even, like through all the ups and downs, and I've been reading all these things about like, heartbreak and what makes the heart stronger. And I think at the end of the day, everybody wants love and connection, and I would love to bring that to people. If there's something that I could create that could bring that kind of love and connection in that way. So yeah, I think now's probably a good time to revisit that.
But also at our age, well, I don't say ours because I'm like an old man, but for someone as young as you,
Well,
but mature, but young still, right?
thank you.
No, like we don't have a lot of. I keep saying we. I don't want to say you don't have a lot of time. I'm just saying us as humans, we don't have a lot of time, right? To play the games.
Yes.
We kind of have to just get to the point, right? If there's something we're looking for in a relationship, we just have to either we have it or we don't, and we got to just make a decision.
True. It's a very different feeling depending upon what decade you're in. and what what
Yes.
expectations you have and what experiences you have. And I don't think, I am a big believer in like really self-love, and kind of you have to start with that and have that. And if finding someone is an extension of that, great. You shouldn't need that to fill a space, to
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just and I'm gonna bring this back to movies, but the latest Bridget Jones movie,
Okay.
I was having a little bit of a problem with it. I mean, I don't spoiler alert, like I don't know if you watched the okay.
My fans won't care.
Spoiler alert. Bridget Jones, if you've watched Renee Zellweger and her love story, right? In the 90s, I think the first movie came out.
Oh yeah, like late 90s around that time. Yeah.
And like to watch her in that stage of finding love and going through it, and Hugh Grant and Colin Firth and the back and forth, and then the several sequels that followed, and like eventually her and Colin Firth end up together, and this one they come back and he freaking dies. Like they kill him off, and in some like grand way of this, noble death, and she's grieving, but it's back to her dating. And I just thought to myself, because people really liked the story and they were like, no, it's a good solid movie, and I was like, I'm not here for it. I'm not like that to me, if you're at that stage of life where you're losing your spouse, like, the Sex and the City also went that route. And I'm like,
yeah, no, it's I
know.
hear you. I think it's look, okay. I said I'm gonna be nice, and I said I'm going to be a good boy, but here's the thing. This is where the riot part comes into this verbal part. Look, there's something kind of pathetic about being that age and still being on the hunt. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, I'm not saying finding love is a bad thing at that age at all. In fact, I'm a romantic too. People don't they think I'm like this guy who likes to party and go to strip clubs and all this other stuff. No, I'm a romantic. I believe in like one-on-one and finding that right person and all that good stuff, right? But I also think like at a certain age, right? Like Netflix has that show Later Daters, where it was like the old people like going on these dates. I did not like that show. I felt like there was something so kind of weird about it and kind of, I don't know, pathetic about it. And I know I shouldn't feel that way, right? Especially since I'm getting up there in age. But
Listen, there's
you should be in a certain place in your life, right? And yes, if you're single and older, that's fine. And if you're kind of like just secretly or just on the low key looking for like a partner, okay. But there's something about being on the hunt that's weird for me. Because even now, I'll go to bars and clubs and I'll see guys my age still trying to like hit on chicks and pick them up, and I'm like,
no,
I don't want to be that guy.
And you do. You've got people who are just not also honest about it, like who are on their second or third marriage, or who have come out of this, whatever stage they're in life, where they're in their 40s or 50s or beyond, where they are still, it's not. I mean, I get where they went with things like The Golden Bachelor, and even Bravo's Love Hotel, where they had the housewives and they brought in, and I liked the idea of like, okay, I do like seeing all people of all ages date, because yes,
sure, love is love.
Love is love. But I don't know. There's something also that resonates with me of like, God, am I really in this stage of life that's like I'm past the early Bridget Jones, past the Sex of the City, and now we're talking about like the widow stage? I don't know.
No, you're not the widow stage. Come on.
But that's the kind of stuff that's being presented, is like, this is what we've got.
You got at least 20 more years before you get to the widow stage. You're fine. You're just a
Well,
young woman looking for the right guy. That's all.
look, self-love, baby, self-love. The right guy will find me at the right time. And in
That
the
is
meantime,
correct.
I'm gonna work on,
And I do know that it's harder these days. Look, I've been saying for a while that I am going to finish writing my book on dating, because I've been writing this book for a while, where I just feel like, as an elder statesman, right? I feel like it's my duty to kind of help the youth out there, as someone who was a bartender for 20 years, and, have my share of dates. I have some knowledge to give to the young. And I feel like we're living in a weird time though for dating. I feel like young people aren't dating like they used to. Like, young men aren't approaching women like they used to. They're not. I don't know. There's something different about these young cats compared to my era. You know what I mean? Because my era, if we saw a woman that we were attracted to, we stepped to her. We had our little black book, we had our pen, we got our phone number, we did the dance, the calls back and forth. We pursued. You know what I mean? These young guys don't pursue anymore.
No. I mean, I wouldn't know about the young guys, but certainly in general, we live in app culture now. And sometime
we
in
do.
the past 5 years, I mean, truly, like, these apps have become almost comically like these fictitious personas, the people they just lie and lie, like the stuff that I'm seeing that comes out of it. I mean, back in the day, it's funny, the little black book, but yeah, that's where you met people. You would go to a bar.
Yes.
And your eyes would meet across a crowded room, and you'd be like, oh, okay, that guy. You'd strike up a conversation. You'd maybe exchange numbers, beeper numbers or something,
Right.
It's a different time. But carrier pigeon. But
we did the work. We did the work.
Yes. And I am a firm believer in that, of like, again, I prefer honesty, of like, just be straightforward. And if you're interested, you're interested. If you're not, like, no bullshit, and show me, they're, again, like, the apps, it's just made it so easy. It's just this quick fix of like, swipe, lie, swipe. You can present yourself in a way that's very different. So it's so easy to get catfished, and there's so many.
I've been catfished twice.
Really?
On dating apps. Yeah. It was not fun. It was not cool at all.
Like, completely different people?
So, okay, here's the story. I did go. So this is back in like 2015. I was fresh off my divorce, and I was trying to get back on the horse, right? So all my friends kind of made me sign up for all these dating apps, and I was like, fine, I'll do it, whatever. So I was talking to this one chick back and forth, hit it off pretty well. She was like, hey, let's go meet at there's this bar on Sunset and La Brea. It was like in this shopping like this outdoor mall kind of thing, or shopping area. But anyway, it's a bar. I can't remember the name of it. So she's like, meet me there. So I'm like, okay, I'll meet you there. So I get there a little bit early, or not that much early, like maybe 15, 20 minutes maybe. I'm hanging out, drinking with the bartender, talking to the bartender, and having a good time. And I'm sitting there waiting for her. So then it turns out, like, 20 minutes later, she's still not there. And I'm looking around. And then finally, after my second drink, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna just leave. And so I get ready to take off. And that's when she kind of comes up to me and she's like, you're Dante, right? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah. I'm like, no, you're not. Because by the way, by this time, we've already exchanged pictures, right? Back and forth. And I'm not talking about clean pictures either. And so I'm looking at her like, you're not the person that sent me these pictures, and you're not the person in these pictures, right? And she was like, yeah, she was like, I wasn't sure about this online thing. So I seen some pictures of my roommate, right? Now, my first thought was, why do you have pictures of your roommate naked? Right? Like, that was weird. Like, if that's even her roommate, right? Like, I don't even know. But totally different person. And so here's the thing. I did finish the date. I had drinks with her. We talked. and I left. And she was like, "Hey, do you want that?" I'm like, "Nope." I'm like, we're done. I'm like, I just wanted to kind of understand, how a sociopath, you know, does this, right? Like I want to kind of get into her head. Like, do you realize how crazy this is?
That is wild.
A totally different person.
Yeah.
So
And these days, like, people will do it with pictures that are 10 years older, or they'll wear a hat when they're bald, or they won't smile, or they'll hide their wedding ring, or
or they'll take the picture just from like, the breast up.
Yeah. To be a totally different person
Yes.
is wild. And then to think that you could then what are you gonna start a relationship with a sociopath? You're like, oh yeah, please lie to me. I see your red flag. Let me, I'd like a bouquet of them. Like, keep going. What?
Yeah, like when your first meeting is a lie. You're already on bad ground at that point, right? So but these are the hazards of this online dating thing, right? And I'm not going to say that it doesn't work. It works for a lot of people. It's worked for me. It's worked for me. So I mean, but you got to sift through a lot of garbage, and I think it's even harder for women because I feel like there's more quality women, believe it or not, on these apps than there are quality men. So the women have an even smaller pool to fish from than we do.
Totally believe it. I have seen, just in the research that I've done, I have seen that to be true, and it's I won't be getting back on the apps. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think. Look, I would never do it again, but I think that there's just something nice about the old approach.
Yeah,
There's something nice about the face to face.
Yeah.
Right.
Or being fixed up. It's so funny. My grandma, to bless her, she just turned 95, and she really doesn't understand the apps thing. To her, she looks at an app as in, like, remember in the 80s when people used to take out personal ads?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So to her, she's like, who meets on an app? Like, that's your first problem and I was like, no, grandma, you don't understand. That is the norm.
It is the norm.
It's stranger to meet someone in person. Like, that's weird today. If you meet someone in person, you're like, oh, I don't know. But on an app, it's like, that's just what single people do. Sometimes people who are not single, but that's what people do when they want to.
That's a whole nother topic, but yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. When I see married people on those apps, I'm like,
happens a lot.
It more than people think.
Mm-hmm.
Like way more than they think or know.
Yep.
Which goes to the state of, marriage, I guess. But anyway,
yes.
Hollywood.
Yes. Hollywood love in Hollywood.
This is something I wanted to look at because, you being in the business, are we looking at a return to the box office? Oof. Right? Like, it's kind of been an interesting year so far, I mean.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the year, we didn't have a lot going on, and the box office was abysmal. It was terrible, right? But now we're in the second quarter. Things are looking really good, man, especially for Warner Brothers. Like, I'm kind of shocked at how well Warner Brothers is doing right now.
Yeah.
But looking at this, does any of this surprise you at all?
I am very surprised. The thing that I can say that there is kind of like a common denominator in all of this, and they're all continuations of franchises that people love, right? We're seeing,
except for Sinners, yeah.
Except for Sinners, right? But Final Destination, people, the hardcore fans, people are going to turn out for that. Certainly Mission Impossible. This is Tom Cruise's last installment, and Lilo and Stitch that has been such a huge hit, which has been so nice to see. But I am shocked. Actually, I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'm not shocked by Lilo and Stitch. I kind of figured that was going to at least, make some big money, right? Like, that one's probably going to hit $1 billion by the end of the day. You know what I mean? Mission Impossible, I was a little bit more surprised about. I didn't think the drop off would be not that there was a huge drop off, but it didn't make the money I thought it would make, especially it being Tom Cruise's last Mission Impossible. And having watched it, it wasn't my favorite. So I don't know how much good word of mouth it's going to get for a second weekend. You know, I mean, I'm a little concerned for it, but Final Destination is exactly where I thought it would be. Like I knew like fans of that franchise were going to show up regardless to how good or bad it was going to be.
How are you feeling about Thunderbolts?
Thunderbolts is not a surprise at all.
Yeah.
Disney's not batting well, man. I mean, well, at least on the Marvel side of things. You know, like I said, Lilo and Stitch should do well. The MCU's not doing good at all. Captain America didn't do well. Thunderbolts didn't do well. I don't know if Fantastic Four is going to do any better. I'm kind of like, I think they're in trouble. I think they're in trouble.
You know, people really like Thunderbolts though, for as much as its performance is saying something. Everybody that I've talked to has enjoyed it. So
well, yeah, it's a fun action movie, and honestly, it's not as convoluted as like their other projects have been lately. So that's the thing, because the bar is so low. Like this was just like a fun action film, and yeah, it is a better film than most of the stuff that they put out. Still not good enough though.
Interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. Did you see the press tour that went on with Mission Impossible, by the way?
Yeah, and I got to say, man, Tom Cruise has definitely won a lot of people over. I think he is doing everything right now.
Yeah. That was wild. I did not get that invite. I would have loved to have hopped on a plane with Tom Cruise and had some one-on-one time with him for this. But how cool. Like that's how you do it. He is such a veteran icon legend in this industry, and to still really know how to have these relationships with members of the press and to treat them in such a way that is just like inviting and wonderful. It's like no wonder this movie brought in the numbers that it did.
No, he's teaching a master class right now, I think, to a lot of like A-listers, right? Like, and that's the thing. This guy is A-list, right? And if he has the humility to go out there and do what he's doing and thanking everybody and, you know, hanging out with like, you know, the people who work in the movie theaters, right? Like people who serve popcorn, right? Like if he's doing that, how is a celebrity or an actor, you know, and let's be real, most people are not A-list. If you're not doing the same things, what does that say about you? Now, I'm not saying you have to do the whole thing that he's doing and, you know, whatever, but, you know, I feel like a lot of these actors just don't have a lot of gratitude really for where they are and what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or they're taking the audience for granted.
He doesn't have to do that. I mean, there is nothing. He's Tom Cruise, you know, his name is draw enough. And a lot of people normally, I feel like, would bank on that. If they don't have to do interviews, if they can skip out on the junket, you know, and their movie's not going to take a hit for it, or their show's not going to take a hit for it, then, you know, it happens. It definitely happens. And I think these days people are relying on social media. They're relying on like some kind of social media campaign or influencers, now known as creators, who, as we always see, are going to be at the top of every carpet, walking the carpet, creating content, generating some kind of buzz. And you know, something can take off alone just from that. Forget about the press tour, or the interviews, or like just what's happening on social media alone, because that's how people are consuming content. That's, you know, that's enough. But so to see someone like Tom Cruise out there doing this, I applaud it and I welcome that success. Like, bravo, good. I'm glad that that payoff is there.
And I think what really kind of pushes more is because everything lately has been just so political, right? And again, I promise you, I'm not going to get into politics, but things have been politically charged, right? And you have actors out there, I'm not going to say who because I've done enough videos on this person, but there's actors out there who just won't shut up when it comes to their politics. They have no problem alienating half of their audience from coming to see their films. That's why I think people are like, you know, gravitating towards Tom Cruise, because he is like saying, hey, I don't care what side you're on. I just want you to be entertained.
It's interesting too because of his choice in religion also,
Sure.
so that's not playing a role in it either, where I feel like I don't know, people pick and choose what they get attached to, and what feels right to someone doesn't feel right to someone else. I don't think all rules are applied universally, and that's kind of where we're at. People take everything personally now, so
They
it's
do, unfortunately, and it's kind of sad, especially when it comes to like art. I just feel like, guys, there was a time when, yeah, politics were a thing, but we also just had a break from it, right? We can go watch a movie and turn our brain off, and we didn't have to think about the world or what's going on, and what this president's doing or what this person's like. We didn't have to think about it, right? Now, what a lot of celebrities are doing now is they're trying to make us think about it all the time, and it's taking away from the illusion of the movies. You know what I mean?
that
And
well
especially their movie. It makes a person not want to go watch their movie.
So I think there are a couple things there. You're totally right. Entertainment traditionally has been a route of escapism. That's whether it was radio back in the day, or whether you're reading a book. Any form of art is escapism. But with the advent of social media and that wave, it is impossible to detach from it. Also, the country in 2016 elected a president who was a reality TV star. So
Yeah.
that is like a game changer. Forget about it. Entertainment and politics are entwined. You cannot separate the two. We have a reality TV star for a president. So that is the reality of it.
That is that, and
Fair
yeah, as
game.
crazy as that
Fair
sounds, that
game.
that, that is the reality. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I just feel like, look, your job as an actor isn't just to get behind a camera and say lines off of a script, right? Your job starts before the script and after the script. After that movie is shot, then your job is to sell that movie to the public, right? So your job as an actor you're not done until DVD release. That's showing my age now, right? But back in the day, you weren't done until the DVD commentary was over, right? And that's when your job is finished with that project. But now these people are acting like that doesn't even matter, right? And they don't mind insulting half their audience before a movie even gets released.
I honestly just think people are people. Let them be. I don't care if you're an actor. I don't care if you're a politician. I don't care if you work in medicine or law enforcement or whatever. You're going to have feelings. You're human. You should be allowed to express them. It doesn't mean that all opinions are equal. It
Sure.
doesn't mean that like you should take one opinion for the other and match it and decide that, like, no, you experts are experts for a reason, and I get that we all want to hang our hats on that, but also let people be human and decide, yeah, if you don't want to watch their stuff because they say something you don't like, don't watch their stuff. If you agree with them, then do. That's the
And by the way, I'm not
beautiful
talking about
world.
like I don't mind a celebrity, saying what they believe in. That's fine. I'm not talking about like, just what they believe in politically. My thing is when, an actor or an actress insults the audience. That's my problem, right? Like you could say, "Oh, I disagree with this," or "I agree with that." That's fine. There's no problem with that. My problem is when you say those people are this, right? Anyone who voted for him is scum. That is like, okay, now you're attacking me, right? You're not attacking Trump. You're attacking me now by saying that I'm scum for voting for him, right? Now, I'm using that as an example. That's what I mean by insulting. It's like for me,
Mhm.
like, look, and you know this. There was a time there was a thing back in the day called media training, right?
Oh,
Like you had media training. You knew how to act when you were in an interview, when you were on the red carpet, whether you're sitting with whatever talk show host. You had media training and you knew what to say, what not to say. I feel like a lot of these actors now and actresses don't have that.
well, you've got cell phones on 24/7 now. So it's you just have to assume that wherever you are, you're going to have a camera on you.
Yeah.
Things can be edited. I mean, the way it is scary the way AI is playing a role in things where you really don't know what's real and what people believe is real, or they just take it as is. Um, it can interpret how someone feels about a situation. Like, it is
Oh,
a
and
very strange time we're living in.
it is a very strange time, because it's funny you bring that up, because we're going to get into AI. In fact, let me read the super chat first, because I didn't realize it came in. I'm sorry, man. I've been just having a good time and yapping. But this is from Lucky Ocho. You guys kill me with these names, man. For $9.99, heart emoji. Thank you very much. I appreciate all you guys. But yeah, you know what? Since we're on that topic of AI, actually, you know what? Before we go into AI, this is something that I kind of want to talk about too. So we're from an era where I remember when I was at the movie theater every week.
Mhm.
Every week, right? Like, that was just my getaway. I would just go watch a movie, even a movie I've seen already. I would go watch again. You know, right now though, the movie theaters are in trouble, right? Like, they're I think we are going to lose a lot of them. And I know, like, I've debated this with other people, and I don't know if it's savable, right? And Kevin Smith, I don't know if you saw that video he put out where he's talking about he's in an interview with Michael Rosenbaum. I actually have it pulled up. But tell me what you think about what he's saying here.
They're closing their 300 because film exhibitions in the toilet. Because
but I like the theater. I like to go.
Sure, but you know what? Looking around here, are you the type of individual that also likes vinyl? Maybe
I have vinyl.
Some people are like, hey man, vinyl, I swear by it and shit. Cinema is going to become vinyl, which is like, it's never going away. But you keep looking at what's happening to multiplexes around the country. They're closing their 300-seat venues, their 200-seat venues, and they're putting in those, like, couch chairs with the feet that go up and stuff like that. So suddenly
They'll deliver your food to you.
They'll bring food right to you, but you're going from like the mass experience of like 250 to 300 people in a theater to like 50 will sell this theater out because the ticket price has gone up, and hopefully we're going to sell you food and booze as well. That model seems completely fucking untenable. And I think that's why AMC, big companies like that, they're sweating and they're going like this up and down. The business still hasn't completely righted itself post-pandemic. Yes, Barbenheimer was great for things and whatnot, but there's not a Barbenheimer every week.
No.
And I don't think some of those cats are ever coming back for the theatrical experience, or maybe they'll come back once in a blue moon for something big. I think it's going to probably start being like Broadway. Broadway used to be everything, right? And now it's like $150, $200 a ticket for the rarefied few who love it, but that's not mass consumption at this point.
Interesting, right?
I agree with him 1,000%. 1,000%. He's and as like the indie godfather. I mean, that's what I'll call him. He's. I had a great interview with Kevin Smith for the Clerks movie.
The Clerks 3.
The one that came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I talked to him about Dogma, which is one of my favorite movies, and how Weinstein still owns it, and he's been trying to get the rights back and whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, and that was like just, I think, post-pandemic, I want to say, maybe like I want to say it was right around that time. But the past 5 years has seen just such a transition from where we were at. I do think movie theaters are going to go the way of vinyl. I remember when the ArcLight closed during the pandemic, and it was just this sad,
that was heartbreaking.
I
love the Dome. Oh my God, that was my theater. Me and Chris talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we spent so much time there, so much money there. I love that theater so much, man. When it didn't come back, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
We all talked about it. We were like, somebody's going to step in. They're going to buy it. We had this hope that was being kept alive with the promise of having that kind of theater experience, because it was such a unique experience and almost like a corridor from yesterday to today.
It was so cool,
It
man.
was
Like
it was so
the first
cool.
movie I ever saw there was From Dusk Till Dawn, like when it came out, you know, like that's how old I am. But
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love that theater so much. And it was just like watching that go away, watching LA lose a place like that
yeah.
was yeah.
It's I mean, we lose staples. We've seen it happen before. Like we lose these staples that are somehow, like I cry for the day. I think about the rainbow. I think about the rainbow
Oh, the
room.
rainbow,
And
yeah.
I'm like, that place, if anybody it's like stepping into another decade. You could still smell the stale smoke. You can walk in, you can see one
That
of your like I interviewed
I've had
Lucy-
drinks with people there. I used to
yeah,
that was my spot. The
yeah.
rainbow was literally my spot, man.
Totally. I used to cover music. That I was a music journalist before I did TV and film, and I have stories for days about that spot.
And I would always see the same guys there. I see Motorhead, I see Lemmy there all the time. I'd
Yep.
see it was just so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's just a piece of history, and
Yeah.
we lost that with the arc light. And Kevin Smith is right. He is so right. I see it with broadcast. Broadcast is dying. I still do a broadcast show, and it's everybody is moving to digital. That's just how we consume media. Streaming. You look at the things that are going to be nominated this year. It's broadcast can't keep up with what's coming out. Even on the streamers, they're releasing shows on broadcast or network first and then streaming the next day. And most of their viewership is coming from streaming. But we 5 years ago changed the way we consume content. So it's all online, and it's all short form. We're looking at apps like TikTok that just revolutionized everything.
Right.
So it's a different world. And yeah, there might be some occasions like we have, this weekend with Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible and Barbenheimer, as he was talking about, but it's
But
going to
yeah,
be
like you said, big events, right? But we don't have a big event every week. So that's not going to save the theater.
nope. No. I think most of them will. I look what happened to drive-ins. I mean,
I've been preaching this for like the past year. I'm like, look, there was a time when there was a drive-in like almost everywhere, right? Especially in California.
Yep.
I think we have 3 left, and they're novelty
Yeah.
like drive-ins. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's a novelty. It's not something that's common.
They had like a resurgence in 2020, but that was like also novelty. Go sit in a car and it just
Yeah, but and movie theaters can literally go that same way right now. People don't, and that's the thing, people don't think it will. I'm like, guys, you realize they need money to sustain, right? If they're not making money, they will close these buildings down. Like, I'm sure the ArcLight made great money, but when it was closed for like a year, it went under.
And nobody picked it back up. I mean, if that were the case, if movie theaters were going to sustain, then somebody would have swooped in to bring it back or reinvent it or, keep it as a traditional namesake. But that didn't happen. No, everybody's streaming what's on Netflix, or it's the streaming wars. That's where we're at. That's where we're at.
And I think right now the debate is the reason why we're in a situation is 2 things. Number one, there's COVID. There was the lockdowns, but if we took that out of it, right now, right, 2025, why aren't theaters doing well? You have your mix of 2 things. Number one, I think is the biggest killer is streaming, right? I think the streaming services have really hurt the movie industry. But number 2, there's just been a crop of bad movies, right? There's just been a lot of bad movies over the past couple of years. There's been like people like, here's the thing. Okay, there was a time where we would pay for a bad movie and go watch it because it was cheap to go, right? Not when the movie tickets cost $20 a piece now, right? If you do the math, and I've done this before on the show, where if you're a guy who's taking out a girl, right? That's already $40 if you're taking her to the movies, right? Then you buy popcorn. That's another $15. You buy a soda. That's another $10, right? So you're dropping like $70 almost just to go to the movies. Now imagine if you're a family of 4. That's crazy.
Nope. I took my 4-year-old nephew to see Minecraft, and this was a matinee during the day, and he's under a certain age. But between the tickets and the food and the lunch and whatever else he wanted, I mean, I walked away spending $200 for an afternoon at
Wow.
the movies. I mean, I kind of splurged and let him buy a bunch of stuff.
Sure,
And
yeah,
I was guilty of it
course.
too. But I mean, even for concessions, like I couldn't believe the prices. I think that's a big thing too, is like people just don't want to throw away $100 for an afternoon at the movies. They're
And
not gonna do
especially,
it.
and this is where the streaming part comes in, especially if you can wait 4 weeks for it to come on streaming,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
what I mean by streaming services are killing the theaters. Because there was a time when you had to wait a whole year before a movie came out on either DVD or cable, right? These movies are coming out almost a month after release.
Yep.
So of course they're not going to do well, right?
Yep.
So I don't know at this point if it's savable. Because what's the answer?
I mean, I see it being, I see it going kind of the route of vinyl. Like I really do. I just think, every medium has its time. Radio had its time. I think Kevin Smith is just on the money. I think he's always had his finger on the pulse of filmmaking and what people want and what the fans really want. And I think he knows.
Yeah, and he's a way smarter guy than people realize, man. I think a lot of times, they see him and think, oh, Silent Bob. It's like, dude, Kevin Smith's been doing this for a long time. I've had a few conversations with Smith, and I honestly, he gets a lot of shit sometimes, but I still adore the guy, man.
Yeah.
For me, he was part of my I don't want to say upbringing, but we grew up around the same time, you know what I mean? And I loved his films from beginning to end. I was there day one for Clerks 1 in the theater, and I've always been a fan of Kevin Smith. So Mallrats might be one, it's in my top 10 of favorite films.
Yep. Chasing Amy. I know.
Yeah, I love Smith, but it's like, I know a lot of people, they give him a lot of shit, but you got to listen to the guy when he's right, and he's right about this.
Yeah.
And I recommend y'all who are watching, watch that interview with Michael Rosenbaum, man. It's actually really good. Michael Rosenbaum has a great channel, by the way. So if you guys aren't watching that guy, you should. But kind of sticking with the same topic almost, kind of going back now to the AI situation. So here's the thing. We had this big strike, right? We had this big Hollywood strike. AI was obviously a big thing included in the negotiations, right? How do you think that's going?
I think we have to lean into it. I think it's here. It's here to stay. And we can't really fight against it anymore. I think it's eating up a lot of jobs. I'm watching just what came out on the editing side of things. And I think there was just like the first fully AI generated, was it film? I don't know. There was something that I was just watching it today. And it's wild that it just completely erased a mountain of jobs. I think it has its purpose. I think it does. It can be of service in tandem with a creative. I think that's how we have to look at it, as just like kind of how social media came onto the scene. How can we lean into it in a way that is beneficial to us and will allow us to grow as creators? Because it is scary. It's a threat, and it has the potential to completely wipe out. I mean, it can do anything. I had AI, I had ChatGPT plan a trip for my parents to Paris.
That's insane.
Like, who needs a travel agent? I'll just,
See, and that's what's scary. And I think okay, so when it comes to something tactical like that, I agree. And then there's a part of me, and that's probably the artist side of me, that despises this, right? Somebody in the industry who's been like spouting this stuff forever has been Justine Bateman. Like, I don't know if you've been reading the things she's been writing, but she's been like Paul Revere, right? When it comes to AI, she is warning us the AI is coming. The AI is coming, right? She's been doing this for a while, and I'm starting to call her now the Sarah Connor of modern day filming, because like she's been warning us about this AI thing. But she's right, there is something that about it that takes away from creativity, right? You can't really call yourself a creator if you're asking a machine to do it for you. Here's the thing though, I get what she's saying, and I do agree with her from a heart level. I don't think practically what she's saying is going to work. I think you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Right.
It's out there now. And studios know it's out there now. So they're not going to stop. They're not going to like not use it.
No. It's efficient. It saves money. I do think it's terrifying, like seeing that entire films can be edited and made and produced and put out. I think it's going to be up to the people who are consuming the content to decide what content they want, and who's creating it. I think that's kind of what we have to hope for in this situation, because if anybody can do it, you're not creating it. If you're having, something else make your movies or write your articles, then it's messy and it's dangerous, and
it's very messy, and it's come at a time when it's like when it rains it pours, right? Like it's like the wrong time for it, because there's so many, like I talk to so many people in the industry. I'm talking about like people below the line. I'm talking about people who work production. They're hurting, man. Like there's a lot of out of work production people, right? With stuff like this, there's going to be a lot of out of work writers, right? Like the industry is hurting more than people even realize, right? They see these movies, they see these TV shows and think, oh, these people are living it up. They're making all this money and they're, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, maybe the people on screen, and not even them, not even all of them, but, but the people on screen, sure. But what goes into making a movie or a TV show? There's a lot of below the line people making this happen. And these people aren't working and haven't worked for a while.
Yeah. And it's getting worse. I was talking to somebody last night about it, and and they were a photographer. And just how even when you're talking about pictures that are being put out, everything is so heavily filtered. Everything is just so, you lose this reality that you and I grew up in. I mean, we didn't have that. We had Polaroids, or we had to get our film developed, or we did. And God, I sound ancient.
Well, we didn't live our life behind the screen.
No. And now, nobody puts out a picture until it's completely airbrushed. It's completely edited. It's completely AI generated. So where it's just kind of like a weird version of you.
It's almost like an avatar than it is you, right?
Yeah. And that's really where we're at with it, is like AI's here. It's not going anywhere. It's terrifying. I think we kind of like, if aliens landed, we'd have to learn how to coexist. I feel like that's what AI is now, is like we as creatives have to learn how to coexist with AI.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't put the toothpaste back, man. It's something that we have to deal with now. But here's the thing, after this big strike we just had, like I'm trying to understand what was accomplished, because at this point AI is going to be used, right? The writers were trying to fight against the AI or the use of it. They can't do that legally, right? Like, I mean, they can't stop a studio from using the technology that's at their disposal, right?
I'm wondering if it's going to come in the form of something monetary, right? Like there are people out there I've seen who are not in the industry who were like, I was never able to get my movie made and I couldn't get the funding before, and now AI can do it for me, and F you studios. And that really upset me, because I'm like, well, on one hand, I'm certainly happy that you're able to create your work in the way that you wanted to and be able to get it out there, where it would have cost you a fortune before. You didn't have the resources or the connections or whatever. At the same time, you're going to be really pissed when that work is out there and you're not capitalizing on it. You're not getting the credit for it. you're not seeking all the glory and the perks and the benefits that comes with creating art. You think it's so great. Try it for a while, like musicians
Yeah.
went through it too with Napster, and like it's just people repurposing other people's stuff. It's yeah.
I think the scariest part of it for me is it's only going to get better. And that's scary. It's only going to get more realistic. It's only going to get more, it's only going to get better. And that's not good for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe we're about 2 years out from it, maybe 3, but I feel like within the next 5 years, you're going to just be able to make your own movie at home on AI. And it's going to look like what you see in the theater right now.
Literally happening. Did you see the Google program that just came out?
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's what I was saying. What I just watched was like the first fully AI made movie, and it's bananas. Like it scared me enough that I had to stop watching. I see it already with deep fakes, with people posting things that they think is real, and it's like, that's not real. But okay, all right.
I guess on a dystopian level, it kind of scares me in a way of, where do we go from here, right? Because at this point, I could just fake anything, right? I could put your face on a crime video where it looks like you're robbing a bank and and it's not you, right? But because of AI, I can make it look like you.
Yep.
Now what?
Yep. Don't get any ideas.
Or even better, I can commit a crime and say that, hey, that video's AI.
Yep.
It was doctored, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I'm off, right? So I don't know. I feel like we're heading into bad territory with this, but it's too late.
It's too late. It's freaking terrifying. It's terrifying. This is where I hope in the humanity of people, where I come back to my center, and I'm like, just be honest, be kind, be loving, be a good person. And I hope that I still have a hope in people.
I look, well, I can't say I'm as optimistic as you are when it comes to people. I think most people are trash pandas, but because I mean, look, humans are humans, man. We are flawed, but I do believe in hope. I believe there's always hope. I believe nothing is final until it is, and at this point, we gotta trust, which is scary to think about. Like, we have no choice. Like, we have to trust, right? Because what's the alternative?
Look, the only thing we have control over is ourselves and what we do. And I think we have to hold ourselves accountable to and especially you and I as creators and as people who are the conduit between entertainment and fans. I think it is up to us in that respect, in this world where we have to be honest and we have to be true, and we should hold ourselves to that standard. And as long as we take accountability as creators, hopefully other people will do the same thing.
Yeah, and honestly, it's it's tempting though. Like because I was before I got into film, before I wrote my first script, I was actually I wanted to be a children's writer. That's what I started out wanting to do, is write children's books, right? Because for me growing up, I grew up in the hood. It was a pretty ugly place where I grew up, gangbangers all over the place, drug dealers. So for me, like, books were like an escape for me, right? And growing up, I was like, you know what, I would love to create like an escape for other children who may live in a horrible situation, right? So I wanted to become a children's writer. And lately, over the past couple of years, like the past 2 years, I was thinking, hey, you know what, maybe I should just finish that children's book I was working on too, right? And I've been looking into it, and I have ideas, and I've been putting things together. And I saw like these videos on how to do it with AI. And there was like this temptation in me to want to try that. And I don't know, maybe it was ego, maybe it was pride, I don't know. But I was like, no, I'm not going to use that. I am not going to use AI to write my book, right? But then I thought, am I just being stubborn? Like, am I like denying the inevitable? Like, am I going to have to eventually use AI, or should I
think it's up to you. I think that's up to you as an artist, and it should be your choice. I think that's kind of, again, like, we circle back to free will, right? Like it really is up to us. And it does sound so dystopian, but it really is up to us. We get to create the art we want. If you want to write a children's book and use AI, hey, I mean, it is up to you. Like, if that's the tool that you want. We all use tools, right? I mean, think about, to some degree, I mean, as a writer, I would use Grammarly all the time. I'd have to check
and that's fair. And Grammarly's kind of like AI a little bit, you know.
I mean, it checks your, you make sure the comma's in the right place, a word's not misspelled, like that I think is reasonable.
That's fair. But it's not writing it for you. It's just checking what you already wrote.
Right. It's grammar. It's checking your grammar to make sure you're not, when you're finishing a story at like 2 a.m, you're like, oh my God, that's the wrong there.
Oh, I've been there. That. Oh my God.
So yeah, but certainly not. You could lean into something as like a tool or a guide, but it's up to you how to use it. If you're relying on it to create art and you're not, then being an artist.
I just feel like there's no beating when it comes to art. There's no beating the human brain, right? I feel like, there's things AI can do, but it can never completely really do what we do, like fully. It can make good things. I'm not saying it can't, but I still believe in the human imagination.
Yeah. Or then maybe just separate it. Then be like, this is AI art and this is human art, and
or something along those lines. Yeah,
and let the consumer decide what they want to consume. We already have just like an outpouring of content that people are consuming. It is just this mass consumption world that we're at, or that we're in. So, it's up to the viewer and the creator. Wild.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where all this goes. It is a little scary though. But speaking of trash pandas, and this is going to be our last topic. How do you feel about what's going on with Blake Lively and this Taylor Swift thing? I'm just curious about your take on it.
Oh my God! Wait, please fill me. How do I not? What is happening? Why do I not know this?
Oh, you don't even know.
What am I living under? What rock am I under?
Well, shit. What? Yeah, let me bring this up really quickly. Yeah, there's a. So I guess they were friends, right? Like that's what we've been told.
Yeah.
And I have like these pictures here of them together on roller coasters and shit, and doing all these things together. And so apparently they were friends, and then all of a sudden this came up because of what's been going on with the trial. Like all of a sudden Taylor Swift wishes she never met Blake Lively after being dragged into the Justin Baldoni drama, blah blah blah. So apparently, because of this thing going on with Justin Baldoni, like apparently Taylor Swift is pissed that she's even that she even knows her, right? Like she's pissed that she got brought into this. There's a lot of bad blood. God, I hate that I said that, but a lot of bad blood between them, and because of what's been happening. But I look, I get it. If you're Taylor Swift, you don't want to be part of this drama, right? I understand that. Like you have your own brand to think about. You have your own name. You don't want to get caught up into this because from what I've been reading and seeing, Blake Lively and her husband are in the wrong in this situation. Now, I'm not asking you to comment on that, but Taylor Swift has been brought into it because of this, because she's, there were texts that were sent to her, and she's the godmother of their child, all kind of crazy stuff, right? But I guess my question is this, if you're this close with somebody, right, and we just saw pictures of them together doing all these things, and you're the godmother of her child, like, is it that easy to say you wish you never met the person when you're the godmother of their child? Like I almost feel like this is lawyer talk, or this is like something that's the lawyers are doing, or maybe her publicist. Right?
I was gonna say, are you sure those pictures aren't AI?
I mean, they could be. No, really, no, seriously, they could be.
I
But
really
but they were friends. They were, you know,
right.
very close. So
Yeah. Where I'm curious too where that article was from, where that headline was from.
oh, honestly, I looked into it. It's not just it's
Oh,
like it's all over the place.
but that's a very like
I just put this because it's like
specific
it's big letters.
headline of like, yeah, I think you know, I Taylor Swift she goes back and forth in between the controversy with some things she's outspoken about and then other things, you know, she doesn't really she lets the media or the fans interpret like who she's seen with or what's going on. I think it's very hard to tell. It's probably I don't know. I don't know how much I would buy into the headlines because yeah, I think if you're that close to someone, maybe you don't want to be dragged into the drama, but also
Yeah,
that's bold. Like that's a really bold thing to say. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I mean, look, mm, I look. It depends. I feel like I know Blake Lively has said some crazy things when she thought no one cared or was paying attention. Stuff they have recorded, and I know the ego's there. I've heard some things about her on set with other projects. So I mean, look, I don't know the woman. I'm not going to make all these assumptions because I don't really know her. But it's not looking good. is all I can say. Her and Ryan Reynolds are coming off very bad in this situation. And if I were Taylor, I would not want to be part of this at all. Like you know, like I said, she has her own brand to think about, right? Like I would not want to be caught up in this.
I'm so not going to compare it to like well, I'm kind of going to compare it to the Harvey Weinstein situation or like the Woody Allen or you know, it support changes, I guess, depending upon the controversy, right? Like people's
Yeah,
views are allowed to change and you can unfriend someone in real life just like you would on social media. But
sure. Yeah,
but I feel listen, I also feel like we can dissect this every which way and have feelings about it. The whole thing how this started out with Blake is from the beginning seemed to be on her side and then it switched and now it's its own beast. And it's so hard to know. I don't think we even have a fraction of the truth of what is going on. I think there's just a whole lot of interpretations and a whole lot of really good headlines. And I don't know, what would you do? Like, what would you do in that situation if it was you and Chris? If there was some controversy?
I
Where
mean,
would you let
here's the thing. At the end of the day, you know, this is me, right? If it's somebody I'm very close to, and I thought for us, like Chris, right? Number one, I don't think Chris would ever put me in that situation. You see what I'm saying? Like a real friend would never really put you in that situation. No, knowing you have something to lose, right?
Yep.
And if Blake Lively is doing that, putting Taylor in a situation where Taylor has something to lose, when Taylor really had nothing, did nothing but support her, then I think that's cause to, you know, cut the friendship or, you know, put it on pause or something. You know what I mean? So I'm completely on Taylor Swift on this thing because she didn't ask for any of this, right?
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with her. Taylor Swift had nothing to do with that movie. She had nothing to do with Justin Baldoni.
No.
So why is she getting pulled by lawyers into this?
Well, that's the thing. The legal aspect of it, I think, is a little tricky because, you know, that's sometimes we don't always have a say in what happens and like who's protected under the law and being honest and telling the truth and things like that. So, you know, this is so hard because they live under a microscope. So, yeah, if it did go down like that and that everything like that was accurate and it did play out, I could certainly understand. Look, T Swift has the right if she doesn't want to be friends with Blake anymore, that is totally her right based on this ever changing relationship and things that are coming forth. So I would say though, you would think if they've been friends for that long, it's not like somebody's like a leopard doesn't change its spots, right? If somebody
Right.
had this way to be, this isn't a surprise to be like, oh, I thought this was my friend and now she's not, especially if Blake has had a reputation of this for years,
Right,
and
which means that you knew.
right.
Right.
So it's really hard to say. I mean, look, stand on your ground and do what's right for you, girl. Like whatever,
No,
whatever it
I
is.
agree, and it's not, and that's why I just wanted your opinion on it, because like for me, like I agree, I'm on Taylor's side on this. I think like, you know what, this is something that I didn't sign up for, right? Like I'll stand by you and be your friend, but you can't pull me into some like bullshit either. You know what I mean? Like this is getting wild. This case,
Right? That's the see, and I didn't even know when you said that. I was like, oh gosh, where, I'm in the middle of Emmy season. So I'm like, what's going
by
on?
the way, all of this craziness is happening over a movie no one saw.
Right? Well,
Like a movie no one gives a damn about, right? Like this is some big like MCU film. This is like some small film no one cares about, and all of this is happening because of it.
yeah. Well, a lot of people got dragged into it. A lot of people from the beginning got dragged into it, and look, relationship, it's like a divorce, right? Like relationships get
Yeah.
messy. You got to pick a side. And again, we don't have all the facts. Like we're just piecing it together based on headlines that are put out from God knows who.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, use your best judgment on this when it comes to like a headline like this, but the whole thing is messy. The whole thing
Oh
is
no,
messy.
it is, and like I said, I've researched. I looked at other articles that talked
Yeah.
about this, and it all kind of says the same thing, that Swift didn't want to get pulled into this situation, but because of the text messages between them, like.
But how many times also do we see that on social media where it's like there will just be these stories running wild and then someone gets out and will do like some kind of story time of their own and be like, this is not
Yeah.
not really how this went down.
Right,
So,
right.
you
And
know,
obviously, unless you're like in the court or really know what's going on, then basically this is like rumor, right? It's a rumor, but it's a very big one right now,
yeah,
and it's like.
big news. Blake Lively versus Taylor Swift. I mean, that's a
I mean, that is
headline.
big news, I mean, again, over a shitty movie. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, this is what all this is about.
It's
But
so bad. I have not seen this movie, and when the controversy came out about it, I actually cannot watch it now. Where maybe some people, it drove them to watch it because they needed to see what the fuss was, but it left such a bad taste in my mouth that I was just like, no, I can't. I'm just done. I have to
yeah,
erase
no,
it from my mind.
I agreed. Yeah, but I am curious as to how this is going to all end and play out. You know what I mean? Like how much further can this keep going, right? Because this has already been like the past year or two, like, or year and a half. This has been going on. So, just wrap it up, right? Like either she's guilty or he is, right? One of them, stole each other's film. Figure it out. Like why are so many people getting called into this?
It's just the double down. Now it's just going to be, I mean, really everything is just you've bet the house on it. There's no backing down now.
I guess it is. It's an issue of ego now, right?
Mm,
So it's pride, I
yeah.
guess.
I
But
see.
yeah, I don't talk about Taylor Swift and Blake Lively all that much. I was just like, but every now and then it keeps coming across my feed. I'm like, okay, I'll pay a little bit of attention to it just to see what's going on. But overall,
Yeah.
I wish everybody well when it comes to this.
Yes, let's
Everybody, yeah, just
hey.
no, yeah. But anyway, I don't want to keep you too long because I know you're a very busy woman. I was so happy that you agreed to do the show. I was like, she'll never come back. There's no way. But
I love a good sequel.
but I am glad. I'm so glad because it's been a long time, and like I said, we just haven't hung out for a while. So
Yeah, I haven't seen you in months.
I know. I've been a hermit, man. I've been like in my cave, and I haven't been going out as much. So, but I need to start like getting back out there.
Yeah, we'll fit. Well, this I feel like this awards we've got like a little bit of a lull maybe coming up over the summer, and then September things will pick up again. But we'll have to plan something.
No, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
all of us can just go like get a group together, go get some drinks, and just hang out and talk, and
we can go to a movie
or go to a movie. Yes, go to the theater.
Yeah. I see you and Chris do that a lot, and Alan do that a lot. I'm always like, yeah.
Yeah, we're still out there. We're still fighting a good fight.
Yep.
So. Definitely. But yeah, we need to hang out again for sure.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, tell the people what you got going on. Where can they find you and all that?
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, you can find me right now on Instagram at The Savvy Scribbler. And then TikTok also has kind of been a fun behind the scenes. I've got some like fun carpet moments and really random stuff on there. And I'm at Sari Tales, Sari_Tales, like fairy tales, but
very cool. And also, guys, I put her information in the description. So in case your memory is like mine, it's right there in black and white for you. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, man. I always appreciate you. Normally we do it Thursday, but this was a special Wednesday show. I will be back next Thursday though, and my guest will be Gothics, and we're going to be talking about a lot of black stuff. A lot of black issues. We're gonna get into that. But you guys have a great rest of your night, man. Have a good weekend. Have a very good weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.